This is part of our lecture series. We decided today it's a little bit going to be different than what we planned somewhat. So we're making it more of a community conversation. We want everybody involved and speak up, and we'll go around the room and introduce everybody once I get through these little intro slides of our general business. So today we are going to be talking about energy audits, heat smart, and going net zero. Here's the Woodbridge Ad Hoc Sustainability Committee. Some members are here. Raise your hand if you're part of the committee. Okay, woo woo. All right, and then we have the Sustainable Bethany. Raise your hand if you're part of Bethany. Woo woo. All right. Also, we are working on food waste diversion in Woodbridge. If you haven't heard yet about any of this, there's a lovely bucket in the back that's green, a blue earth bucket. That is if you're interested in commercial residential pickup. So that would be a paid-for cost, the way that people paid for their trash to be picked up here. If you're interested in composting in your backyard, that's another way to do it. We will have a wonderful speaker in, I believe, March. Domingo Medina of Peels on Wheels will be coming and teaching everyone more about backyard composting if you're interested. But if you want to find a way to divert food waste more immediately and you're willing to pay a fee, Blue Earth is a great way to do it. Once we get 50 people signed up, they can actually start doing it.
Is that 50 people in Woodbridge?
Yes,
or
50 people.
And Bethany together?
That's an excellent question. I believe it is Woodbridge because they need to have it worth bringing their truck.
Right.
So that would be super great, and actually maybe that's something we can look into about asking them if Bethany would count too.
Sometimes, like, I'm thinking pizza deliveries, they won't say the whole town of Bethany, but they might
Right,
go.
it might be like within 5
Yeah.
miles of border or something
Right.
like that. Close enough. That's a great idea. So
Do we know how many we have signed up for that? Do we
I have not asked in a bit. It was something like 15 or so last time I asked, so it's not quite enough. So for them, you know, again, they're actually a great company and really sweet to deal with. They do the school pickup right now at Beechers. So they're looking for, they don't want to just go out with a big truck, and I mean, they could charge us more and do that in theory, but they actually want this to be sustainable based, and they are looking to not spend the gas and such. The other super big thing, and something we'll talk more about today, is Heat Smart that we'll get more into. There are, if you have not yet signed up to have an energy audit, it's this QR code here. There's forms on the back that have it too, in case we get past the slide. So once you click on that QR code, or whatever you call it when you do a QR code, you get to a Google form. Put in your information, and people will call you about setting up an energy audit. Alyssa, did they ever call you?
Okay, or email you. I signed up on December, I think it would be 30th, and I may have gotten phone calls I ignored. However, I didn't notice any of them, but I got my first email.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yes.
eventually it does come. we were a little worried.
Yeah.
With our test pilot there. All right, that's that. We would like to welcome Diana, however she is ill today, so we are not welcoming Diana to give this lecture. Instead, the members of our committee are going to try to cobble it together ourselves, and again, make it a community conversation between everyone, so that hopefully we can review all of the information that is about these topics of energy audits, heat smart, and going net zero. Again, these are our lectures that we do once a month. And also, Eric from Bethany wanted to point out that he is hosting a lecture. Go ahead.
Let me give a little background. So in November, most of us are on well systems. In November in Bethany, we had a water testing event where people could bring samples to have their water tested. We had about 80 people bring samples. They were tested. Of those 80, about 2 showed up with E. coli. About a fifth of them showed up with positive tests on TSV plates, which is Vibrio, essentially, which is Vibrio is a bacterial contamination. So in Bethany, of the samples that were tested, about a fifth of them were contaminated with some sort of bacteria. So if that's not enough to convince you that maybe you should have your water tested, you should. But as a result, the group at UConn that organized this for us is going to come and give a talk on well testing and how to do remediation. And that talk will be on February 13th, which is Thursday. After this.
I will.
At the lodge in Veterans Park in Bethany. It's only 15 minutes from here. It's not that far. But Good idea, you know, for those of you who are on well systems and who haven't tested them in a number of years.
Can you send me like
I will
the
send
full
you
information on that with the time
Sure.
and everything is gonna be like in the evening at 6 or so?
It's at 7 on Thursday,
Okay,
February 13th.
all right. I'll add it, but send it to me
I'll
just
send
in
it to
case
you.
I got
Is
something
there a
wrong.
registration for that?
Nope,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, so that's a great opportunity for, the other parts of the lecture series we're actually doing. Recycle CT is gonna come, which that is a really, really good lecture. Cheryl Baldwin does it with us, and it's what's in, what's out. So, I mean, I would say a lot of us here are very enthusiastic recyclers all the time, and still every single time I go to this, I like learn another thing of like, oh my gosh, you can't recycle black plastic. Oh my gosh, you can't do this. And so it's what the most up to date, here's what's legal in Connecticut, and it's great. I highly recommend it. That is going to be on a Wednesday. That's our one thing that's not on a Saturday for our usual one. So just to,
I'm just
No,
going to
okay.
interject right now
Please do,
that the
community
film
conversation.
plastic, which is
Yes.
going on in Beecher, you can recycle black
plastic
film
bags.
plastic.
Yes.
You can. I talked to them the other day. I will send out an email this weekend to us, but I finally got a hold of them. As long as it passes that push your thumb through test, it is fine. You can also recycle if you have fuel pellet bags, your water softener bags, just shake them out. Mulch bags, fine. Not fertilizer, not compostable or biodegradable, and not pet food.
Right. It sounded like to me like it seemed like the list of those kinds of bags. Even it's like you just can't get them clean enough. That's what it
Right,
seemed
and well, the
They're gonna
compostable and biodegradable
like. Right. That is a separate.
is, they
Those are
don't want their
vegetables. Yeah.
decking material
Yeah.
to decompose on you.
Yeah.
No,
but
the
other
others
ones,
are
when
probably,
they said frozen vegetables weren't okay or pet food.
Frozen is because it's a layered plastic,
Oh.
so
Okay.
its process is different, and that's why you can't do frozen
I mean, the pet
bags.
foods are too. Actually.
We need like
It's
a,
It might be, it
in a
might
way so that
be.
those pets
So-
Frozen.
So,
Again,
for those of you who might not know what we're talking
payback
about, we're
here.
running a pilot of film waste, film plastic recycling at Beecher right now. Anyone's welcome to drop it off at Beecher. You don't have to be associated with Beecher. So it's film plastic, so it's like the plastic, kind of like the tablecloth back there. Any plastic that is like stretchy, things that you would drop off at Stop and Shop or Target in those
Yeah,
bins.
the old
all
grocery
these-
bags,
yeah.
the wrap that comes
Ziploc
around your toilet
bags.
paper,
Ziploc
paper
bags,
towels, your pallets, if you get a pallet of something, that wrap.
Which I find that's like
mattress.
90% of my trash is honestly from
Yeah,
plastic.
everything
so
you buy
everything else
that's-
gets recycled. So,
Ziplocs?
yep.
Ziploc bags, yes. They just need to be clean and dry, not like spotless, but like
anytime you buy clothing and you get it delivered, it has to be clean.
Dry cleaning bags, another one.
dry cleaning bags.
Anything
yeah.
that stretches.
Right.
If you cereal bags. And then the biggest, bestest, wonderful thing is Earth Day, Saturday, April 26th. Mark your calendars. You're gonna come because it's gonna be the best day ever. We're in the process of planning. If you want to be part of planning, let us know. We're starting things now. We're getting it going. We're forming like subcommittees for the different areas. We would love help and interest and ideas for if there's something. For the people here, who came to Earth Day last year? Okay. If you didn't come, what would make you want to come to Earth Day this year? Is there something you'd like to see? A farmer's market, vendors?
It was probably there and you just didn't know.
Okay.
Because it was a bigger and a more spread out and more things going on event than this town does. So Bethany used to do a very nice one and it was bigger than that and had a lot more than that.
When? When did they do that?
2008,
Yeah.
2009.
The good old days.
And they did a great
Most of
job,
these people were young.
but this was even more than that. So
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
we
Because ours was
definitely
all
had
inside
something you
here.
wanted to participate in or see.
So again, if there's anything that you're like, oh, I would have come if only I knew that there was, or that it was happening, that would be. Or if I only knew that there was craft giveaways or other things like that, then absolutely let us know. We are very amenable to expanding in different ways. Let's see, any other, let's go around the room and just talk about what brought you here today and something that you do that's sustainable. So I will start. I am Hillary. I was coming anyway, but then now I get to also sit up here. And something that I do that's sustainable, I'm going to steal the one that the heat pump guy said a while ago. He eats leftovers, and I like that I eat leftovers, because I thought that was like such a like it's not the first thing you think of. That, you know, I eat my leftovers, or I don't throw out food after I eat it. That is something I definitely do. Food does not get put in the trash in my house at all. I get really mad when visitors come and put food in my trash because then it smells. We eat our food, we eat the food. Even when my kids take stuff to school, they take it until it's gone. That's how it goes. If they don't eat it, it goes back in the lunchbox the next day until they have eaten it. They're learning now it's better on the first day if you just eat it. So, and then other than that, we have chickens. I give a lot of our stuff that's really beyond eating to the chickens, and then we compost other than that, and the things that can't go to chickens, and that is one of the many things that I do. So.
My name is Abby, and what brought me here was I'm interested in improving our energy efficiency in our house. And
Great.
so I guess I want to learn or see if you guys have information about how to find, well, no, I was going to say how to find a reliable contractor, but maybe more get educated enough so that I don't feel like I'm constantly being snowed, which is what
That is
every
common.
conversation with any energy contractor I've ever had feels like. What do I do that's sustainable? I compost a lot.
Do you do it in your backyard?
Yes, so more, I probably feed the forest animals.
That's
more
okay. It's
than-
going back to the earth.
Compost like me.
It is going back to
It
the
is,
earth.
it is,
Okay.
and the great cycle
Yeah.
of life is
It's
definitely
not the
happening.
trash. So wonderful. Eric, your turn.
Yeah, I want to talk about water. So, yeah, I'm Eric Friedman, and I want to build off what you said, Hillary, about food waste. We go for zero food waste. Leftovers, of course, get eaten, and nothing rots in our refrigerator. And any apple cores and stuff goes in our compost bin.
Very good. Oh, wait, hold on, wait, back up. So you use a bin? So that's the other thing that's interesting. You have a tumbler, okay, and you're happy with that?
Well, we've had it for 15 years and it is now rotted out, so I've got to replace it.
Okay, very good. All right, Tom.
I'm Ton Huntington, and I think what comes to mind in our household in particular with sustainability is the amount of water that we're trying to track ourselves, the usage, in particular our children. And they time themselves now when they use the shower.
Oh, that's
We
fine.
have, Alexa everywhere, sadly. And so they time themselves in the shower, and we do the sniff test. We sniff ourselves to see if it's absolutely necessary to wash our hair or do the pits. That's fine. But we do time ourselves, all of us, adults and kids.
So what's your time?
For the kids, it's 5 minutes.
Wow.
Which is a long time, actually. If you do time yourself,
Okay.
if you do the shampoo and the body wash, you really don't need that much time
Okay.
in the shower. And now I'm going to sniff myself out.
Because everybody was a little
And then, just talking about brushing your teeth. I showered before I came back. It was a sprint.
Always.
But yes, that's what.
So how much so the kids get 5, the adults get how much?
5.
Also 5.
Wow, we got it
Oh
down.
my gosh, now I gotta start timing.
Do you
And
turn the
it-
water off in between soaping? Do you do like the Australian method?
Oh, is that a
So
method?
in Australia, because they have such like water scarcity
Right,
issues,
right.
you wet, you turn it off, you soak, you wet again to rinse.
Oh,
So you just got down to 2
that
minutes.
is fun. Oh my gosh, I love that idea. We're gonna try that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so since doing this, do you feel like it's a big change, or it's just become part of
Yeah, it just
normal?
becomes part of our routine. It's very mental. We do composting as well, but that's more something that I feel like my partner and I have our minds wrapped out a little bit more. The kids, it's just every time they drink water or shower or brush their teeth, they're talking about it. When they're arguing, there's many topics that they argue about, but when I hear it's like, turn off the hot water, it's like, I'm gonna let that one go ahead.
Yeah.
They can argue this one out. So yeah.
Very good. That's a good one. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kailash Patel. I just want to know how I can save for energy efficient house
Great.
and stuff like that.
Do you do anything now that you consider sustainable?
I
I'm sure
try
you do
not to
something.
buy things in the boxes and,
Good.
I mostly eat vegetables, fresh vegetables and hardly any frozen food or something like that.
Oh, good. Wow.
So,
Good for you.
I'm Stephanie Pennington, for the Sustainability Committee, so that's why I'm here. Let's see, I do things that are sustainable. You said you don't use boxes. I actually have a place that I actually, we had visitors for Thanksgiving, they were taking a shower and they're like, where are your bottles of shampoo and conditioner? I don't have bottles. They're bars.
Oh, you do have bars, yes.
So that's one thing, but I also do most of my meat shopping local. It's in Orange, and I go and buy a whole lot of meat at once, but it's all on their farm right there. So it's local meat.
Where is it? What's it called?
It's the Cedar Hills Farm on the Derby.
Milford Derby Road, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you know where that is?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll go there. You have to look at their website.
Okay.
I haven't been back in a while because they've been out of ground beef, which is my staple. So.
Are you able to buy like small portions? You don't have to buy like half a cow at once or anything.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Okay.
it's all prepackaged
Okay.
in like a pound, and it's all in like frozen.
Yeah.
And so you don't eat meat, but like.
But my family does.
Oh, okay. So I go and buy like $200 to $300 worth of meat
Okay.
and like stuff it all into my deep
You
freezer.
could buy half a cow right there.
No, it's like it's just expensive. I think meat's just expensive. I am thinking of buying a half a cow with a friend.
It's like my dream.
In this month actually, with Elliot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're like, do you want to buy half a cow?
I know. See,
Yes.
doesn't it sound
Yeah,
cool?
it's
It
very
does sound cool.
sustainable.
Yes, I do. But yeah, this is all really local, so I'm out of meat though right now, and I'm really hoping that when I pull up their website, they have ground beef because I'm on my last package of stew beef. But yeah, so that's what I do.
It's cool. Thank you.
So is buying $200 of beef more sustainable than buying $50 at a time?
I just don't like to drive there very often. They're
Oh, so
only
your
open on-
transportation, you drive less.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only open on
Okay.
Saturdays,
Emissions, okay.
and like I'm oftentimes busy
Okay.
during
By
those times.
minimizing the trips, that's,
Yeah.
okay.
And yeah, but it is local, so that's why I'm doing it more so. It's really just out of laziness.
No, but it's also, well, you said
See.
it runs out too, so you're getting all of it that you can at once.
Oh, I do use it. I go like quarterly, I would say. That's like 3 months worth of
Yeah.
meat.
And that means not being like shipped to a processing facility
Right.
and then shipped to a grocery store and then you drive to the grocery store, so you're
Yeah.
saving, the
Yeah,
localness
right.
itself is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's good.
So my name is Mary Gorham, and I'm here on behalf of Massaro Community Farm that's co-sponsoring this.
I'm sorry, I forgot to say that.
Yes.
Zara was co-sponsoring this.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
And
was a lot.
I'm the secretary of the board of Massaro and head of the education committee. I think our composting is really appreciated by the local raccoons and possums.
And bears.
Who we are feeding lots of banana peels and whatnot. So there's that. I don't know. My husband and I try to do any recycling we possibly can, and he drives an electric Bolt, and I have a hybrid, and probably all the things everybody else here is doing as well. Just trying to do our part with recycling and reusing. Lately I'm really getting into reusing the paper from old spiral notebooks of kids' classes years ago
never
that have been
finished those,
sitting
yeah.
on bookshelves, and they use the first third of the notebook, and then there's all that paper, right? So I'm really getting into reusing old paper from kids' tossed notebooks.
Very nice.
I like it.
I'm DJ Ahern, part of the Sustainability Committee as well. I also compost to the wildlife in my area, but I am a reuser, repurposer, and do as little new as possible. I like to just keep things going and change them and pass them on and let someone else keep it going, so that nothing has to get thrown out. That's what I do.
I'm Alyssa Anderson. I'm also here as part of the Sustainability Committee. I think I'll stick with the food theme. I like the food theme. We don't ever have food go bad in our house either because I buy very purposefully and use purposely. But if we do have fruit, which, especially in the summertime, it's a little tough, I always freeze it, even old bananas and stuff, peel them and, or chop the things off and freeze it and use it in my smoothies all summer. We've been doing that for years, so we never goes to waste, always gets used for something. And the other one that I like is we don't use any plastic bags in our house. Like, I had the same set of plastic bag boxes, Ziplocs, for like 7 years because we literally don't use them. It's pretty good.
What do you use instead?
So we use like a lot of the containers of plastic. I use glass too, but when you take the kids on like trips, you need something that's light if you're carrying around a backpack at the zoo or something. And then a couple of years ago, I really like these zip top silicone bags that I use. Those are my favorite.
My name is Atul Kulkarni. I am an extended member of the Sustainability Committee. I teach at Southern Connecticut State University courses related to sustainability. So at MBA level, I teach more from a managerial perspective. Sustainable marketing and innovation is the name of the class, about how business perspective into incorporating sustainability in different, mostly marketing related functions. I also teach an undergraduate class which is more about, undergraduates can get, what you can do as consumers to be more sustainable. Like a bunch of things which you are talking, we talk some of those things. I also work with National, you can say American Marketing Association. So we have a special interest group which is about sustainable marketing and innovation, and I'm on their leadership team where we sort of, host events, call people from Fortune 500 companies and those sort of stuff to, talk about these issues, again more from the consumer behavior, business corporations, and also government perspective and that sort of stuff. In personal, at home, so we do a bunch of things, like we do composting. So I have like a big ditch which I dug in my backyard, and so all the fruits and veggies and scraps and organic stuff goes there, and then me and my older son, who's 7th grade, we sort of try our best to mix it up with the soil so that unwanted critters don't come there and it actually decomposes quicker.
Down the road.
How deep is the hole? How deep is the hole?
It's also
Maybe
a lot of work.
as big as this table, area-wise, and maybe half deep as the height of the table. Now we have run out of that thing, so now I just recently bought like a tumbling composter and another one which is just like a compost bag where you can just dump stuff when life gets too busy, And so kids do they have figured out, the thin plastic is different, so we have a bag where kids have, the older one has learned, the younger one still is not there. So they, when they drink chocolate milk, they will get that straw plastic out and put it in the plastic bag, and then other thing goes into recycling, and so a bunch of things, kids have learned that energy is not like free and unlimited resource, so they kind of, little things like, unplug stuff when you don't need and that kind of stuff. My older one has gotten impressed with all these things, and now one of his many So he has like 10, 15 coveted professions that he wants to become when he gets old, and one of them is like sustainability, environmental engineering. Happy, there's some little bit of awareness getting generated in the next generation. And what else? So a bunch of other things, but this is what came to my mind.
No, I say I like doing this because it gives everybody else ideas too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I could do that.
Hi, I'm Gina Teixeira. I live in Bethany, and I guess there's two reasons why I decided to come. The timing of, I don't know, I saw, I think, something on Facebook maybe, and I had just felt like this breeze coming in through the window when I get home, and I thought, oh, energy audit, maybe that's something I should do. Because it's been really cold lately, and the other reason is, and by the way, the food stuff, I'm like a total beginner. Like all of this stuff we don't really do. I work too much, and my mom just moved in and she cooks a lot, so forget about it. I mean, we have problems. So,
We do leftovers.
right. We do leftovers, we do, but still, she cooks a lot, which is great. The other reason,
But you're cooking and you're not getting takeout, so that's
right,
another
right,
thing, too.
yeah. So the wind coming in through the window, and then I'm on the Board of Selectmen in Bethany, and Bethany has a lot of problems. Some are high-profile problems, and some aren't. But I've been really just shocked at how there is no interest with the leadership on sustainability issues. And we're lucky to have residents in town who try to educate people, but I felt like when I saw this that like I have an obligation to bring information and do what I can to get the town on board. It's very difficult when there's just no interest.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, and luckily your sustainability committee has still been very enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Very enthusiastic, and we try to do as much. And right, like why not? We're all right next door, so
Oh, and for other things I do, I couldn't think of like anything I was doing, but I think when you think about sustainability, you just forget that it. So a couple months ago, I started using these instead of the detergent bottles, the sheet things.
Oh yeah.
Sheets, and
Do you
so
find
that's-
it work? What?
I like it.
What are you using that you actually like?
Earth Breeze, I think
Okay.
it's called, and I think it works really well. And my mom was very picky.
Yeah.
Like, she likes it too. So.
Sometimes, so I tried going that route, but I found the concept, and I think I was self-limited here, but like, it's like the one sheet, a half a sheet for some
Yeah.
loads, and the 2 sheets for other loads, and I was like, and I actually don't like my stuff to be smelly at all, so I couldn't tell if it was clean, I could only tell if it was smelly, and
They have
And
a
the-
scented and an unscented.
right, I think all the ones I was trying were scented, and I was like, I feel like they're just covering up I don't know if it's clean, I just know it now smells like whatever, and I wasn't sure anything was clean. So maybe I need to revisit it.
Well, another reason why I ordered those to try is because I guess if you're traveling,
Yes,
you can just
that's
put
when
something
I've,
right.
done it.
And I
But you
did
don't have to worry
do, like
about
a hand wash thing, and I
Yeah.
thought it was really
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, but again, so that is exactly why the kinds of things, because I think sometimes we have people who come to our lectures who are like, oh, I don't do anything.
But maybe I should do that.
I'm right. Maybe if you take a longer
you
shower.
are not like that.
No, but I think a lot of people think like, I don't do anything. I can't come to the sustainability stuff. I'm shamed in some way. But I think we all do things that we don't realize we do. So that's why I do like to have us all go around and say, like that it sometimes can be things like that doesn't mean that you have to be, digging a trench in your backyard necessarily, but good for you. Or, we're only eating local, or only doing or only, making sure you're recycling every single thing. Like we all can do different things and add them in. And sometimes when we go around and say like, we'll check out that local meat. And I know that there's other local farms that do sell, like Clovernook actually has some in Bethany. Town Line, I think, has their own ones too now. So again, like thinking of those different kinds of things of what else can you add to your regimen that is not something that you necessarily consider to be a big sustainability move, but like, hey, it is doable. So, we will get into these slides. I'm just going to, again, with the preface, these are not my slides. They're Diana's slides, who's not here. I've seen them once. We're going to go through them and see what we can discuss as a group and what is useful for everyone. But I know as much as you know of what's coming ahead, so we're going to go for it. Here we go. all right, about Diana, but she's not here. She's very wonderful. She has a lot of experience in this, and she actually has a company called Earth Forward Group that is very cool, that is for trying to get more businesses to be Earth Forward and Earth sustainability themed. So, weatherizing your home. So again, detecting those leaks. So one of the things, I'm gonna sort of like, we're gonna do a mashup here of like the Heat Smart stuff. So with the Heat Smart and then getting your energy audit, the whole point of that is really to get to better protect the building envelope of your home or business or any building you have. So if you're going to be heating it, making sure that it's well sealed, then you're actually doing something, you know, like then you're not just like sending all that energy out. You're actually using it. So one of the things, the home energy, how many people here have had a home energy audit?
Not in a long time, just not recently.
So you can do
Time
them
frame.
every 6 years through the state program. Currently they cost $75, it's a subsidized thing. If you do them through the Heat Smart thing, through the Woodbridge Heat Smart PACE, I actually found out through the town. It's not, what is going to be PACE that gives it? PACE gives $75 to our, what is it called, the Human Services Fund or something like that. It's like the food pantry except
again, but it's like their food and fuel.
Yeah.
But they changed the name to something.
So nonetheless, so this state organization is giving, or the statewide organization, they're not through the state, but PACE gives $75 to our own like food pantry for every person that signs up through that. And they don't have to, it's like, that's separate from the overall like energy audits. So it's another great way to like support our local town. So if you sign up for this, the process is, again, you click on the link that's through that, it doesn't matter if you're in Bethany, I think you can still sign up for it, it won't matter. And they, what the benefit is doing from Heat Smart versus regular HES on the HES websites, is that PACE has like vetted a few companies. So you had said like, how do you find a good one? This is like PACE has vetted the companies that would come and do the energy audit. And it's down to like a few that would contact you. So then they're going to contact you by phone or by email. I was contacted by phone even though I'm not eligible to do it again, but I went to an event and they got my information, they called me. And so, but Alyssa was contacted by email, and I think somebody else, who else? You were contacted by email as well? Okay. So they'll contact you by email, and then you find a date and time that works for them to come and do the audit. The audit, I've had it done 2 times. The first time actually was a lot more because it's the first time. And it took, my gosh, they probably got there at 8 a.m. and left at like 3 p.m. It was a long time. There was 2 very industrious guys who like did so much, and I was like, and that was 6 years ago. It was $50 at the time. It was actually ended up being free for me. When you do the one now for $75, you actually, if you do anything at the end to make your home more efficient, you can submit that as a rebate and you get the $75 back. So it's nothing if you
Even more importantly, if you are going to do other upgrades,
Yeah.
heat pump, solar panels,
right.
if you do this first, there are huge rebates available.
I should have brought my book.
So it's, you pay $75, but you can get a $5,000 rebate.
Yes.
So this is always the first step that one does.
So yeah, so again, because you don't want to make energy improvements and then let that energy fly out the window. So the first thing you do is the audit, and again, here's the demonstration. Like here's all the places that you could be leaking out. In terms of there can be breezes through your windows. There can be other things that aren't sealed properly. You could have windows that aren't done well. The biggest and most, what they always say is the best thing to do is insulation of your attic. Just like how you put a hat on in the winter. This is what they once said to me when I had my audit. They're like, just like how you would do that. That's where you lose the most heat. I don't know if that's actually anatomically true, but nonetheless, we'll go with it. So that is where you lose the most heat in a house. You're not going to, if you did an infrared scan.
Actually look at, like you just had snow. You
Yeah.
can tell which houses
Right.
are insulated and which are not.
Exactly.
If you don't, I have a metal roof, so mine does not count.
Yeah. But if you see somebody there with a nice clean roof,
they should not have a clean roof. You have no energy.
yeah, it's all,
It
you've
should
melted
be
all
on
your
your
snow.
roof. So you can tell if you look at, because now when we got the metal roof, this is what they told us, like look at the roofs, they should have snow on them. So now what you can see is you can look at someone with like a house and then their garage that's separate, and their garage is covered in snow and the house is completely clear. Problem.
That's the problem.
Right, because
So
the
they need to be
insulation
insulated.
should be on the floor of your attic, so your attic is cold.
Yes.
As opposed to putting the insulation in the ceiling of your attic, because that's not good.
Well, it
It's-
depends, I mean, if
I
that's
have
how
foam.
it is, if it,
I
yeah,
have
if it's a
the-
spray foam, that's how it's put in, and that's
Oh, the spray
okay.
foam. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I'm thinking
Well, and
that.
whether it's vented or not, and how it's
Right.
vented,
Yeah.
and the air is
Okay.
closed,
Yeah.
it's incredibly.
But still, if you have the spray foam or anything like that, it should be enough on there that, again, it's not, you're not using heat to melt the snow. So yes, that is a great way, you can go around and judge all your neighbors. And tell them, go knock on doors and tell them, we should go
Like
with the
just
little
driving
thing.
around.
Yeah, you need an energy audit, buddy, come on. So, but again, so when these guys came and did my energy audit, they actually put in that, at that time, they were still changing light bulbs to be the LED, they don't do that anymore, but that's something you can do yourselves. Change every light source to be an LED. They also do, and I think they still do, if you don't have it, the weather sealing stuff like around
More
doors.
More
which-
tape, yeah.
Like, the amount that they put into my house, I was like, that was worth way more than the cost of, even if I didn't get, I mean, even if it hadn't been free or if I had to pay the $75, it would have been, so much weather stripping was put on my doors. I have a lot of doors. So it's not only like the sweep at the bottom, but like the stripping around the sides too. They also they went around with like the spray foam, the stuff themselves, and like looked under faucets. So like if you have this done, you actually have to open up any sink you have underneath so they can get to that area. It has to be clean so that they can go and they'll spray around the pipes to again make sure, one, which is nice for pests. I was like, yay, now mice can't get in there, but also air can't seep through. I'm trying to think, other things they do look at your appliances to see if you have energy efficient appliances as well. And then that is, at the end of the thing, you get a booklet that has all the rebates and they will sign where they think it's appropriate. So like if you have a brand new washer, they're not gonna give you the rebate for a new washer because you have one already. So, but like for me now, so even though I had my second audit now and they basically said your house is fine, they do a blower test. I guess I didn't put that in too. Does everybody know what the blower test is?
No.
So they go around and make sure all doors are open so that your house is basically one big area at that point. And then in a central location, which might be your front door, but it might not be depending on how that's placed, they seal it with plastic. The picture for today's lecture, if you saw that, had a guy doing the blower test. And actually, here we go, yes, so this is what it is. They do this to the door, and it's a giant fan, and they suck all the air. You also have to make sure your fireplaces are not, that they're clean. You don't want them to not be clean for this. They will check with you ahead of time if you have fireplaces. So they suck all the air out, and then they calculate what the pressure is for that, and then what that means in terms of, are you just pulling all the air from outside through other leaks? And that's the problem. They also do a duct test too to see if your ducts are in a row. No, if your ducts are sealed. So they will like rate it if you need to have your ducts sealed. So if you are going to have a heat pump or improve your AC or if you have like forced heat, that if you want to get those sealed in another special way, they will do anything they can see, but there's a different way to actually seal the inside if you do to do that. But nonetheless, that's part of the audit. And then again, so then you get this booklet and it has all these spots for rebates. So there's definitely the ones I remember, so anybody else chime in. Insulation of any kind, both like ceiling or whatever, like, attic insulation, wall insulation. They have other ones for washers, dryers, appliances, stoves, fridges, any of that. So like honestly, if you thought like, hey, my stove just broke or my fridge just broke, do the audit. You can, because like I think at least the washing machine one, because I'm kind of thinking about I might need a new one, and it still works for my audit that I have. It's like $500 off a washer. That's a goodly amount to move forward. That's worth the $75 again. So Those ones, heat pumps are a different thing. It's not actually through this booklet. That does not depend on the energy audit. You can do it without.
It does, but the vendors take care of it.
No, it's not part of this booklet. You didn't,
Well, no, maybe not part of the booklet.
you didn't have to have an audit to do a heat pump.
You do.
Promise, I just did it. I just did the audit and I just did the heat pump. 100%. I did not need to do it in that order. But I am getting the $75 back because I did the heat pump. But I didn't need to.
So the rebate on the new appliances comes from the state?
I believe so, yes. I think that's where all this stuff comes from. And it just has to, I mean, like, there are stipulations, so I should put that in too. It's not like you can just be like, I'm just gonna go buy whatever. So like, I also, in the last year or so, got new windows placed. I did not get the rebate for new windows because the rebate for new windows requires you getting triple pane windows. And for me, that was not worth, I have a lot of windows, and I was replacing a lot of windows. And the cost of triple pane was more than what was worth it for the rebate. However, I did get double pane, and I really love them, and it's like, I'm not getting that breeze anymore. So I am very happy, despite the fact that it didn't go through that. I definitely upped my energy efficiency, even if it didn't get the rebate. Trying to think, does anybody else remember any other things that are included in the booklet? Okay. It's a lot. It's a little overwhelming at first when you do it.
How long does it take?
Like how long are they here?
So when the first time I did it, it was from like 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And like they did so much. The second time I did it where they were like, no, you're fine. It took like 5 minutes and they were like, peace out. They just did the blower test and were like, bye-bye. So it depends on how much they have to do. It depends on how big your house is. It does depend on what company you get. So presumably,
Do you remember the name of your company that you use?
we are no longer in business
Was
actually.
it New England something or other? Because that's who we use.
That was one of the ones that we had vetted for
Ah,
our Heat Smart program.
Okay, yes. Okay.
No, though who did it first? If you said it, I would know it. But
It started for us, it was New England.
I think it started.
Energy.
Mine started with a G.
Yeah.
Okay. And they were great for us too. If they're still, you better.
And we had a Heat Smart program that we did a year and a half ago, 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and they were our vendor.
Yeah.
One of our vendors. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, they were great.
Yeah.
It sounded similar to what.
Right, like it's like sometimes these people, like when I learned that my people did go out of business, I was like, well, no wonder, because you like give us so many LED bulbs and so many weather stripping things, like how did you have any money left? So,
Do we have a choice of selecting who comes and audits? Because
So-
I got an email from someone which I did not choose, and I just said, okay, you're coming and doing it, come and do it.
right, I think, so you can do that, that's fine. So that was, did you sign up through the Heat Smart thing? Or,
No, actually,
you
through
called?
UI.
yeah, okay, so in one sense, they just give it to whoever answers first. So you can do it that way, or you can say, no, I'd like somebody else. It's up to you. But in then like Pace with the Heat Smart, they've actually vetted, so it's down to like 2 or 3 companies that they feel do a good job. That doesn't mean whoever called you doesn't do a good job. It just
Right.
means that this is who Pace.
So, but is there like a listing of the auditors on the state website or something?
It's on the Energy ICT website.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can find ones who are close to you, or
Right.
you can do a
And so they have like ratings and that kind of stuff?
No. So the state is very careful about not, they like make sure that everybody's qualified, but they're very careful not to play favorites, which is fair, because that's a lot of responsibility. So this is just more pictures of the ducts and duct sealing and where things can go wrong with ductwork. And so again, this is what I was talking about the guys, they come with a little spray foam thing. So they're gonna seal, so like they like sealed around my chimney, all sorts of places. They're just, that spray foam is everywhere.
You might want to think about doing something like that, using fire retardant spray foam, which exists. Because right around your chimney, you're getting a chimney effect on the outside of your chimney from your basement all the way to your attic. So there's a really actually strong flow of air just naturally
Yeah.
if that's not sealed.
So I hope I did use fire retardant when I was there. I don't know. It wasn't my looking. So here's other things to think about. There's the insulation. There's the concept of why you have insulation. And then here at the bottom we have, so there's the faucet. You can get, that is the other thing they did put in too, the little aerators in the faucets. They made sure all of our faucets were like at a regular, and you can, aside from your 5-minute showers, you can get the low flow shower heads and things like that to make sure you're not having huge water usage that way. And then the other two pictures, that's a heat pump or a, heat pump related hot water heater, and then the mini split, which is oh, here's more of the rebates. Let's see, did we hit everything? Oh, furnaces and boilers. There you go, that's a big one, if you needed to replace that. These were federal tax credits. I'm absolutely certain that this is not up to date, being that this was from a year ago, and everything changes by the minute for these. So get the general flavor of it, but don't take home any percentages. There are still many rebates available. Even the heat pump things changed as of July of this year. It changes very quickly, and I will speak for one of our sustainability members who is not here, who wanted to point out, as different administrations come into office, that often can change things as well, but it always changes anyway. It's constantly changing based on what funds are available, and can be used. My heat pump, like I said, I just got a heat pump in the fall. I'm still in rebate purgatory right now, waiting for it to go through. So.
I think the key point though is the vendors know all of these rebates, so they will take you through it and say, and that would be.
So that's another caveat. So in my heat pump journey, which was extensive, and I got way more quotes because no one would agree on anything, so I kept getting more people, and then they still didn't agree on anything. And so several of them were like, we don't do the rebates. We take no responsibility, that's all you. I ended up going with a person who did say they would take care of it. However, it's not true yet, so I can't actually say if that was a good choice either yet. So, so it is, and I want to say, when I did the installation, they took care of, during my initial thing, I did get installation. They took care of that rebate. I'm trying to think if I've taken advantage of any other rebates.
So the contractors on the Energize CT website have all gone through the training of how to do these rebates. So that's how they get listed on the Energize CT website. So if you're saying, where should I start? Best place to start.
Right, and so you can find, and what they had told us, when we had our specific heat pump lecture, those guys had told us, and they're a third party, they're involved with Energize CT, but they're not paid to hype anybody specifically. That list, they vetted them to make sure they're licensed, that they have the proper requirements to install the stuff, and they have been trained in whatever. But that doesn't, you still want to go to Yelp reviews or whatever your go-to thing is to make sure that, so how I ended up picking again, I got an obscene amount of quotes. I ended up, what do they say? You're supposed to get at least 3. I got 3. They said 3 different things, so I got 5. They said 5 different things. I think I ended up with 10 at least. It was ridiculous. I was getting very frustrated in the whole process. I brought the Energize CT people back into my journey, and I was like, help me! I don't know what to do, nobody's agreeing. And I ended up, the ones I looked for, I actually wanted people that, I was trying to be sustainable and pick local, so I picked people that were a certain number of miles from here, and did that. I wanted people who, and this was again my preference, I'm not speaking for everyone in the world here, I wanted a business that had a legit looking website, because there seemed to be a lot on the Energize CT that were I work for somebody else, but I run Hillary Drum LLC on the weekends, and I could put in a heat pump, and I'm, and I was like, I'd rather have a real company that I can go back to afterwards. So that is what I ended up doing, but you still, and then I Googled how many complaints I had against them or that kind of thing too. And some of them it was you had then for some of these companies, you find out what else they do. One ended up that they do a lot of those. I don't know if anybody's had the experience when you buy a house, you get a home warranty for a year or something like that. Weird, that I always thought was a strange concept, but apparently one of these companies deals with all of those warranty complaints, so then people were, they all had millions of things to say about that, but nobody had anything to say about the heat pump, you know, and I was like, well, maybe they don't even do that many heat pumps. Like, I don't know that I want them for that. So it is a hard thing to try to pick somebody who you feel is good. And I think what has happened with word of mouth among a lot of our committee and stuff is people are like, oh, well, who did you use? Did you like them? Like, you've done the work already. So I refuse to say who did mine because I'm still not sure. I have to see if that rebate goes through and how, if they like stand by their product. But so there's a lot of this of like, you know, how does it actually end up? It's a long process. All right, solar energy. Oh, that's another thing. So there's not actually rebates through the energy audit for solar panels, but there are federal rebates and such that are wonderful and still going on at the moment. There's a lot of different ways to get solar panels. How many people here have solar panels? Okay. How'd you get a ton? Did you cut down 1 million trees?
Yes, I did
Oh my
actually. So that was not
Jeez.
sustainable, but
Okay. No, but
I guess, yeah, I did have.
oh my God, that was one of the reasons why I didn't buy your house.
But yeah, yes, one of the trees fell into
There you go.
our house, and we had a new roof.
Oh.
It fell when my boy was only about 4 or so, and he was playing hide and seek. So that was traumatizing.
Oh my gosh.
But that what came out of that was this understanding.
Making
of-
lemonade right there.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Roofs, and we figured we're getting a new roof anyways, and they always advise like if you're thinking about solar, do it around the same time as getting a new
Right.
roof.
Yeah.
in. And so,
At least
fortunately,
you didn't have to feel guilty about cutting down trees.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have
No,
to.
she needed to anyway. There's a lot of
if you
trees
look
there.
at my house.
Yeah.
But yes, that's one
Okay.
thing. We had to cut down tons of trees.
Okay. So yeah, so that is something to think about in our wonderful land of Woodbridge and Bethany, is we are not short on trees here, and sometimes that does impact being able to have solar panels. So the solar panel owners here, do you own them? Do you rent them? How did you do it?
We ended up, when we priced things out, in hindsight, it wasn't financially the best idea of owning them, but I'm glad we did in the long run. But yeah, we did own them. We do own them.
We own them,
You own them.
absolutely.
And do you have the batteries?
I actually have my second set of batteries.
Second set of batteries. What, are yours Tesla or no?
Pardon me?
Tesla?
No. But the first set was lead acetate batteries, and they lasted 11 to 12 years.
Wow.
So then
Okay.
I've just put in the second set.
Okay.
So
A lot of solar people come to my house and I always feel like it's a huge scam.
It does seem
Yeah.
like a scam when they
It
come to your
really
house. It's, yeah.
And the first, like, couple of years, they didn't even tell me about an owning option.
Yeah.
And then I was doing the math, and then I asked, well, after I paid you X amount of money, which more than covers the panels,
Yeah.
what then? And they're like, well, you keep paying us. And I was like,
You're like, that sounds awesome.
that sounds good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And then when the rebates came out, the federal
Yeah.
rebates, there were a lot of new solar
Yeah.
panel experts, and a lot of them have gone under.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know if your company is still looking at
Oh,
that,
yeah.
but ours are. So we keep our fingers crossed. But yeah, it's true. There are a lot of solar artists, unfortunately. But
my
That
opinion
will-
with leasing is it really doesn't pay off.
It doesn't make sense.
You know,
right?
it's a way of doing it, but you get a penny or two per kilowatt hour benefit. And
Right, when you lease it, the concept of leasing it makes it kind of like, it's this picture, basically, without any of the battery business there. You're just another power source on the grid. It has nothing to, like, the panels could be on your house or they could be anywhere. You're another solar farm, or you're a energy farm for the grid. And so what you're collecting on your roof is not necessarily going to your house, and it's just going back to the grid. And that, you know, like, it's great. We need energy, and that's super. And it's a way that some people can do it. And I'm sure are a lot of places that are really great for solar that aren't in Woodbridge or Bethany. That would be really great to collect all that energy and use it. I have the panels myself, and I did it because I wanted the battery. I don't have a generator, and this is the way that I don't have power outage now. So I'm very happy with that, and they worked really well for me. When I have Tesla panels and the Tesla batteries, and if you want somebody who you don't feel like it's a scam, Tesla, they're like so mean to you actually. You're like,
I don't think
this
it's
is great.
Tesla though.
All right, fair enough.
You know, But I don't understand what you said about, like, you had the solar panels and then you don't have to, you never lose energy, like how?
So so I have batteries,
Okay.
backup, so when the grid goes out, all the time, like the power that goes to my house is directly coming from my solar panels. Like I can go off grid at the press of the button on my phone right now. I could say I'm off grid. And so, all the time, only I could make this like,
But the energy that your solar panels generate, they do come first to your batteries before going to
yes,
the grid.
exactly. So here's what it looks like on my phone at all times. I will come around the circle for anyone who wants to see. It's like super exciting when you first get the panels and you just watch
Yeah,
it
that's
all the time.
cool.
So like right now, it's not that sunny and it's winter.
Yeah,
So
so
like,
Hillary, you own these though?
yes.
So that's why you have this?
What, why I have the app?
No, that's why you can go off grid.
You can
Yes.
do it if you lease too, you
Yeah.
can, if you have batteries.
You just
You have to have batteries, but I don't know that there's really a good way to
Yeah.
lease and have batteries currently.
Right.
So when I went on that journey, we talked to Tesla, who again is not polite. They are like, whatever. If you want it, you'll want us. Like, it's a very much like, this is how it is. But they also like weren't wrong because other companies came, they did the quote and everything, and they were like, I gotta be honest, the best batteries right now are the Tesla ones. Just go with this. We're not gonna come out with anything good enough in the time. And I was like, well, at least you're honest. So,
Hillary, how many days do your batteries last if there's a
So-
big outage?
that is a question that depends, if anybody else wants to see. So hold on, I'm just gonna show it. So like, here the solar panels go, they charge my little battery there, which looks more or less like the picture. And then from there it goes to the house. Right now I'm pulling from the grid, and right now my home is using 0.8 kilowatts. I don't know what my kids are doing right now at home. Probably watching movies.
And energy that goes to the grid that passes through your battery, or it
They-
is a separate?
So
path?
once my battery is full, which currently my battery is at 40%, I can set the amount that I want to be the or like,
How much
how-
to store in your battery?
yes, to store for like an emergency. So like it won't go below 40%. I could make it that I go to 0, and then I would have 0 right now until it refills.
Right.
But we must keep it at 40 if it's at 40 right now, I'm presuming, since there's like no sun.
I'm trying to figure out if I got a generator for nothing.
But like this is the other
Right,
alternative to
okay.
doing it.
Okay.
I hate the noise of
This is the
generator.
clean
Sounds
out.
just- yeah. Well, it's expensive too. I mean, but so is installing a generator. So, so
Blankets.
yeah. I mean, just the blankets. And you have like a wood stove. I mean, like there's all other ways.
UI doesn't pay for how much you're sending to them.
So, okay, so that's the other part of this. So once if my battery's as full can be, and my house is as powered can be, and everybody's happy, and I have excess, like in the summer, in the sunny days, then that goes back to the grid.
Right.
I get credits that then provide me with power in winter. So I most likely am only paying the connection fee right now for my energy bill, which is like $13 a month. Is that what it is?
Oh, that's
I think.
impressive.
Very good.
But that being said, I'm probably not like right now because it's been several months of very, not much sun. So.
But what about, so you said you had to replace your batteries. Where do those batteries go?
Well, yeah.
I mean, they can be recycled.
It's.
Yeah, they
Oh,
do
did you come to Kent's one on? So like they are being recycled.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's not great. It is the batteries. I mean, this is basically a Tesla on the side of like a car on the side of my house. It's the same battery. So I have 2.
How many days then?
Oh, yes, okay. So that is the question. So I have 2 batteries, and it depends on how much power I'm using in the house, of how long that will last. Now, so like right now, I suppose I could do it, but I might surprise my
How
kids.
many kilowatt hours is the storage for the batteries?
I would say, so like what happens right now if the power goes out, if the grid goes out, I get a little notification on my phone that says, your battery's at 40%, the grid is out, that will last you 18 hours, or something like that. Typically, it's gonna be about, I would say, 1 to 2 days, depending on what else you're using. So like, when the grid goes out, I go and make sure that we're not using extraneous things, no one's allowed to go throw on, I don't know, like the toaster or something like that, or the dryer, something where it pulls a lot
Right.
in a short amount of time. So it will tell you how long, and then you can also, I mean, like they have it here in the Library of Things, I believe. It's like I kilowatt measurer thing. Like you can see how much
Right, the
your
meter,
appliances.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really terrifying. I actually own one, but I've never used it. But I see it on this. I'm like, oh my gosh, someone, like when you're watching it and you're like, somebody just turned something on. What was that? I can't believe that uses this much. You actually see like how much, like when you turn on the oven,
Yeah.
like how much that pulls, yeah, microwave, how much that is. The dryer, you're like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden it went up to 8, you know, from 0.8. Like, it's a huge draw. But so, anyway.
Do you know the
those are-
storage capacity for your batteries? Sorry.
I don't know it offhand. I'm sure there's an answer for that.
Mine are 27, I have 27 kilowatts.
How do you know how
Maximum.
many, how do you know how many panels you need to give you enough
So,
energy?
okay, so again, so this is the process of when you request a quote is, and it was pretty much the same from Tesla and the other company I got that did it, oh, I forgot that one. But anyway, what they look at, they ask you for your energy bill from the last year. They ask you for the highest energy bill from the last year. So you get your Eversource or your UI bill and you give it to them, and then they look at Google, they don't even come to your house, they look at Google Maps, and because they trust that that shows the tree exposure, and they decide how many panels can go on your roof, and if that's a good array. So I've heard people being told like, no, you have to cut down trees first, or no, you are facing the wrong direction for it to get really good coverage. Or I had an electrician at my house earlier today for a frustrating issue that is not working, and he was saying he's got solar panels, but he's still paying because he's got a pool in the summer. You know, so like that, so like for me, when they put the panels on, they actually did it to 112% of what my usage was at that time, of my highest usage. And so I've got a heat pump since then. My usage, I'm sure, is different. It's more than 112. But they're going to aim to do that. I have skylights and other weird things, like my roof is just not made for this. It's like you can't put enough stuff on, but we also, our power bill is fairly low. They were like, no, you give us the wrong thing. We want the highest one. I was like, that was it. But I also, we don't use AC. We didn't have a heat pump at the time. We really don't use the dryer that much. So it was fairly low. But that's what they're going to do before then they'll tell you whether or not. So you could get a quote that, other than Tesla, you have to actually pay $100 to like start the process. Everybody else is a free quote. They would tell you if this is a possible thing for you, based on those two things. And then after that, they're going to say like, yes, this is feasible, or no, it's not. Come back after you've cut down trees. Like my parents actually tried to put them on their garage, and they were told you'd have to cut down this big tree that they feel is like a historic kind of tree, and they were not willing to do it. And so that was that.
So if we were to have a solar farm at the transfer station,
Yes.
could we have batteries from that in our homes or not?
No, the batteries have to be right
Right?
with the.
Right.
So
Oh,
you lose.
Geographically close.
Yes.
I see.
Yes. So just like I would suppose any power, just like the grid, in that magical little loop there, you lose power for the distance. So I will just use the example of
Transition.
my circuit breaker is at the opposite end of my house from my garage. Everyone else in the world has their batteries in their garage. That's where they recommend that they're put inside in the garage. Because of course the other thing you want is your hookup for your solar or your electric vehicle. And everyone else is able to do that. My thing is at the total opposite end. For them to run the conduit from where the solar panels, like if they had put that there to make it so that the things were in the garage, they were like, it's actually, you're gonna lose a significant amount of power.
Oh, just in your house.
Yeah.
So, no,
So like you could never do
so
it
forget
long
across
distance.
town. Yeah.
So for me, we actually put our batteries there they're outside. Most people, like I said, they're inside, but they're made to be, they can be outside, but they can never be on a southern facing thing because they don't want them to get too hot. So they're on the north side of our house. They're in the shade most of the time. They're happy.
So as we go to electric cars, what do you see as the future for using our cars as our batteries?
Well, so
Backup
they do make those. I mean, so the Rivians and does Ford have? Does anybody know what that one is? I forget. They have these big pickup truck ones that are electric vehicles that you can actually reverse it.
Yeah.
Like yes, it's so cool.
Well,
So
but see, that
But-
seems to me to be the
But,
future,
no,
right?
there's a big
there's
but
always,
here.
I mean, there's no free
There's-
lunch.
What's the problem?
That's,
Yeah, that sounds
I've got a Hyundai, and it also, I can run off that, but it can only do 15 amps.
so I think, so a Rivian and whatever
Maybe
I
a
mean,
Ford 150.
it might be. I saw one, I like experienced this at a party, and they can run, you can, again, it's because it's the same battery. It is the same
Right.
battery as that's
Yeah,
on
yeah.
my house, so you can just reverse it and you could power your house, which sounds really cool because it's mobile,
right.
you know,
And
so-
rechargeable, and then you wouldn't necessarily have to have solar, because you'd have that battery.
When we
But you-
had our solar panels installed, which was maybe a year and a half ago, we asked the same question. We
Yeah.
had one electric car. And the technician said that yes, there's options if you have particular cars, but the technology is just speeding up so
Right.
much that he said, wait maybe 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And then it'll
Yeah.
be worth that investment.
well that's, I mean,
I know, you can say
that's
that about anything.
always the problem with any of this.
Yeah.
So like that's when the other vendor, I really wish I could remember what that other solar one, they had told us like, we don't have the good enough batteries right now. If you want one, go with Tesla. And even in the time, because it took forever, I signed up to get the panels, it took like 2 years before they were installed. You're on a huge wait list. So if you're thinking about it, just get in line. Like get the quotes, do it. You can always say no. Like because you have to get UI to approve it, they're not super excited.
They have to approve it?
Yes.
Why?
Because you are now a generator.
Yeah.
So
And
you're part of their generation system.
yeah. And they have to approve it, and if like too many people on your street have it, you can't have it. I know, it's weird.
I better do it
Oh,
before
yeah,
my
yeah.
neighbors do it.
Yeah, I know. All right, it's competition
Might
now.
steal the sun.
Yes, oh,
I gotta go, but thank you so
Oh.
much.
thank you. Is there anything else we can answer for you before you leave? Abby, or you're good? Do you need any other input before you leave? Are you good with everything?
Well, I'll take the audit information. and
All right.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. We'll try to be speedy, sorry, we tend to go over our time here. Okay. Let's see, oh, there you go. Diana's has solar panels. I know her method of doing everything too, in terms of the rebates, and this is a very good thing to think about, is that you chip away at it piece by piece. And so you get and what can you afford this year to do? And so therefore you're gonna get like this, and to do it piecemeal, and that way you get the rebates, and that way you can get, you know, you're a little bit better than you were the year before. That's all we can do with any of it, right? So, but there you go, there's a Tesla battery. There you go. Again, anything with the numbers in it, I'm sure are gonna be out of, oh, that was the end. Okay, well, whew, we didn't, it wasn't so bad. All right, if you wanna look at it. I like that picture, that was nice. Any questions about any of this for anyone? Any questions about HeatSmart? It's really just a fancy thing to get people to do the audits. I mean, that's the purpose of it.
So let me make sure I understand this correctly. So there are HeatSmart is just another way
Yes,
to approach a vendor to come and do audit for you.
yes,
So you could approach them through UI, you could approach them through Energize City or HeatSmart. But
Yes.
the benefit of
I
signing
believe the
via
UI and
HeatSmart
Energize
is-
CT are one thing, actually, though.
Which one?
The UI and Energize CT are
The
one.
one thing.
I think so.
But
as
through
far as I know.
HeatSmart, if you approach, then the city gets some benefits.
Yes, Woodbridge does get benefit if we do it through HeatSmart, which is great. And also, I like what's the benefit to you on that is those are vetted, you know,
Oh, okay.
companies to do the audit. Not to say that whoever you get otherwise isn't good. I don't know. It could be anybody.
So HeatSmart is a third-party agency which is affiliated with the city of
HeatSmart
Woodbridge?
is a campaign that's through PACE, which stands for
People's Action for Clean Energy.
Yes.
And that's like a
It's a-
consumer advocacy group or something?
Yes,
It's a state, it's a volunteer state organization. I think they have a half a paid employee and a bunch of people who volunteer.
They are all volunteers. They're great too. by the way.
Consumers cooperative kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
okay, a bunch of people came together for the, okay.
And, you know, they have the HeatSmart campaigns, and they also have one other big initiative, and I can't remember what it is, that that they work on. But there have been a lot of towns who have signed up for Heat Smart, to do heat pump, and they know all the rebates available, low income.
Yeah.
So it's a great place to sort of as a good first touch point.
Who funds them?
Donations.
Yeah, they know, we have actually had them come and talk to the committee before. They're really good at, they know where all the information is. So they have access to databases that show literally, it's really cool. The stuff they pulled up when they presented to us, it was like they can tell you how many electric vehicles there are in Woodbridge as a whole. Because of they pull the information from the registrations and things like that. So they know how many houses are on oil, how many houses are on gas, how many houses are on alternative sources. And they have all that data to be able to say this is worth pursuing, this is not worth pursuing. So they can do that for any town in Connecticut.
So when we
It's very
ran our heat pump campaign, they actually said, okay, 12 were installed this year, 15 installed the next year. We ran our heat pump campaign, 66 were installed. So, and just, was it the campaign? Was it, IRA? I don't know. But, we saw a huge jump after our campaign and they were able to find all that information.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a really cool organization, honestly. So it's PACE is the acronym.
PAC.
Mhm.
It's a bunch of good citizens coming together.
I didn't realize they were volunteer. That's even more incredible. So, yeah, it's worth doing. It's worth doing an audit. You can't lose by doing an audit. All you have to, the biggest cost to you is it sacrifices half your day. You got to be home while these people are in your house. That's it. Other than that, you're only going to get positive things because and just so you know too, so I had my audit done I think in November. That was my second audit that was kind of a bust. But things are good until March of this calendar year. So all those rebates, so I'm watching every day. I'm washer, are you gonna die? I need to know. And then I'm ready with my little signed rebate thing that they gave me. I'm okay, I need to know if I need to go look for washers. So you're good for a while. But at the same time, if you're I know I'm not gonna do anything else until next year, then don't do the audit yet. Wait so that you're within the time that the rebates are gonna work for you. So.
One of the things that comes up with this whole program though is it has to be constantly renewed in terms of the funding for it, so that it only costs $75.
Yeah, that's highly
And
subsidized. It's highly subsidized.
That, at the end of every year, they say, well, maybe it'll get renewed, maybe it won't. And so there have been times where it's gone up to $150, it's been up to
Yeah, it was
$25,
50 at one point.
it jumps around because it's how much money it gets subsidized for.
And
So-
also, I think this is true, that it's only, the $75 price tag is only available to people with oil heat. It is no longer available to people with gas heat. It used to be for everybody, but then the fund that it was all coming out of got used for something else, as tends to happen when there's money sitting around somewhere. And so then they said, okay, we're gonna only cut it, because we don't need to have veterans, it's already efficient. We don't need to make it more efficient. So that is that. Let's see, the other thing, going net zero, that's kind of a bigger topic in terms of, so what does that mean to anybody, going net zero? As a personal thing or as a town? Does everybody know what that means, to go net zero?
You're not using more energy than you're producing, it's equal.
So it is a concept of can you go off grid, basically?
Can you go off grid, yeah.
So, right. And there's so many more things. That's, again, going back to what everybody's individual things are. Some people's had to do with food, some people's had to do with energy, some people's had to do with water. It's in all of those ways, can you, we all have wells, so in theory, you're not pulling from another source, you are self-sustainable in that regard. But, you have a well pump, which means you need electricity for that. I think most of us have septic systems, and how do those need to be maintained? Something has to be done there.
Many years ago, I don't know if it's still there, the Science Museum in Hartford had a really wonderful station where you could put in all of your habits and figure out your carbon footprint,
No, I
right?
think they still do have.
Is it still there? It's really good. If you haven't done it, I highly recommend it. And-
They have that online too, though. You
Oh,
can
you
go
do it
online and
Oh, even
you find
easier.
them and send them
Okay,
to that for you.
even easier. Well, the thing, as we all here probably know, is the biggest culprit is airline flights, right? And people who are, it drives me crazy. I have a dear friend who is setting up, solar cookware for women in Malawi, but then she's doing all of this international air travel that's killing all of the good work that she's doing in Malawi, right? I just think the consciousness around air travel needs to be really raised because it's, what is it? One cross-country flight is basically equal to all the other work that you might do
Really?
throughout
Oh,
the year
gosh.
for
Okay.
everything else.
Yeah.
It's like huge. So I think in terms of like where do we get the biggest bang for the buck as a community, raising the consciousness around air travel is such an opportunity because people here travel. If you have the means to travel, you will. So.
The last I read about the statistics, I think the two biggest culprits are commercial agriculture and vehicular road transportation.
Yeah.
In terms of the total damage that different things do.
Yeah.
Commercial agriculture is like, I was surprised because I was thinking in terms of emissions and vehicles and air travel, but it's the mass production of food, which is
Right, which gets back to where do we get our own food? Are we going
Right.
locally?
Yeah.
Are we,
produce
going,
locally, have your own garden.
Right, there's so many ways to do that. It's like your home garden,
Yeah.
right,
your local farm,
right.
I saw, there was a great graphic I saw somewhere where it actually showed, sort of like the transportation involved and even like a farmer's market is
Right.
not really as great. Obviously, the best thing you can possibly do is to go to your backyard and pick your tomato and put it on your plate. But then what all the different steps are in that and how we don't think about, of what's entailed.
The farmers markets are also tricky. So there's so many examples, where actually the investigative journalists
Yeah.
went and,
Really
where does
following
the
the
stuff come in
trail.
farmers
Yeah.
market? And then, in many of those farmers markets, it's not actually locally farmer produced stuff.
Right.
It's mass produced stuff which is put in there, and the explanations that whoever runs those markets gives that, we cannot guarantee regular quantity, consumer acceptable supply from the local stuff. So
Right.
we fill in all those gaps with the mass produced
So then they're basically the grocery store
stuff which
outside.
will go to Stop and Shop will come to the farmers market. So we are not aware of that stuff, right? Whether we
But the ways to get around that is to join your local farm CSA. Mazzaro has one, Clovernook has one. Clovernook's is a whole different kind if nobody knows about that. So Mazzaro's is the more traditional, you pay a certain amount, you get to come and actually pick I got to collect someone else's CSA once, so I got to do, you pick some directly from the farm, you pick some from the barn.
Well, most of it is for you.
Yeah.
And you just go and you take your share, but there is also a part where
But you still get some choice in the matter too.
You have
I
some
was
choice.
I was excited
You
about
don't like
Yeah.
kohlrabi, you
Yep.
everybody puts
Yeah.
their kohlrabi back in.
that poor cold
I have
ramen.
an amazing recipe.
Yeah.
Oh, I need it, I need it.
I made it and my son was like gobbling it up and I was like, oh.
How do you
okay.
cook it?
I cooked it at a high heat, I think, and sprinkled Parmesan over. I gotta get my.
Oh,
recipe.
you roast it,
Yeah, you gotta peel it first.
yeah.
I gotta get it. I
awesome.
get it. Because I got the kohlrabi and I'm
The
like, oh, I'm gonna do
Clovernook is
this.
like you get when it's like
Good.
when it's CSA time, which tends to be around the new year. That's when they tend to sell them, I think. Is that when?
No,
is
I
that-
started selling them back in November.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's available now, if you go
Yes.
to the Mazzaro
So
website.
Clovernook's
One of
around that
my
time
most
too, but
hated
you get a
vegetables
gift
when I
card
was a
for the
kid.
farm store.
What?
Cool.
So like,
I have a really good
I have to
recipe.
admit, I actually get Clovernook, sorry Mazzaro. But because that was what works for me.
Oh,
Like, and I feel like I'm in like Little House on the Prairie because I just go and I'm like, put it on my tab.
Right.
You just gotta give your name. And so you buy like $100 and you get it for 5% off. So I get like $100 worth of Clover Nook stuff for $95. And and you just keep, like I just put money on it every year and I still have
And
some.
it applies to anything that they send, even the chocolate.
And again, even everything. Like I actually got, a couple of years ago, we did Thanksgiving at a really weird time. We ended up being like, we're doing Thanksgiving this weekend. This is when everybody can come. I called them, I was like, do you have turkeys? And they were like, yeah, for like a month from now. I was like, no, I need it tomorrow. And they were like, yes, you do now. And I went and I was like, put it under cooling trap. It's done. I don't even know how much that turkey cost, honestly. But like, I think it's really fun that way because then I'm really worried about the kohlrabi that I don't want to get 40 pounds of leeks. And I don't want to, have to commit to vegetables or something like that I don't know or like on a weekly basis. But there are people, and like, so it's I like the way the Clover Nook does it because I can just go at whatever time and it rolls over every
And
year.
you don't want food waste.
And I don't want food waste. But I don't want to have to worry about, am I going to actually eat that amount of produce? So I really enjoyed it when I got to pick up with friends. And I did get to pick the stuff. And some of it, I actually got to go to the little rows of tomatoes and pick my own tomatoes. And that was fun. And their tomatoes look way better than any tomato I can grow. I was just telling you, I was like, I didn't even know this many tomatoes came on a plant. So,
I like Massaro.
so that's really fun. Like that adds that aspect to it. So I wish, like Massaro, I would like to throw this in as a suggestion. Like a one-time go, like a trial run or something like that for a CSA. Because like I can't commit to a whole CSA is my issue, and nor can I even commit to a half. But I would love to be able to be like, this Friday I can commit to.
Would it is
So farm stand.
Yeah, we're saying,
Yeah.
So just come
come to the
when
farm
the farm
stand.
stand's open and you
Okay.
buy whatever you want.
That's true.
You should try their winter stuff.
Yeah, well,
Community-supported agriculture is the
Yeah.
idea that you pay ahead of time so that they can survive.
Yeah.
Winter stuff there,
Yeah.
carrots.
yeah, the carrots are so sweet
But yeah, for
because it's
Clover
that
Nook, it's the
cold.
meat, it's
Mhm.
the,
Yeah.
you can, everything.
The
It's
kale,
everything.
I know how to
Yeah.
package it now. I just finished my last thing of kale from
Mm.
November.
Oh, wow, that's great.
That's how long it lasts.
Kale does last forever. It's like,
Lasts
it's
for-
a very
I still have my
hearty-
cabbage.
it grows
cabbage
It
yet.
lasts forever.
It's-
It
never leaves. So anything else,
That's even
anybody can
longer.
contribute to the conversation here? Anything else
Yeah.
anybody feels they need to know about more,
I'm not sure.
wants to
I'm not sure.
discuss? Make sure you come to Earth Day, April
Is
26th.
it gonna be here, out here?
It will be here,
It's
all,
here.
the whole
It's
campus,
And
all.
stuff for kids?
Oh my gosh,
There's
so
so
much
much.
stuff.
We had so much
Yeah.
last year, and there will be more this
The
year.
biggest, this is what I keep telling people, the biggest complaint we got were people were like, there was so much stuff I couldn't see at all.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
So people get.
And it's
hurt.
everywhere. There's tag sales, there's farmer's market,
There's
there's
free cycle.
vendors, there's
Free
Yeah,
cycle
the
clothes.
field out here, right? Is that?
Yeah, the green,
everywhere.
Okay.
in
It's out
between,
here,
it's everywhere in this.
Oh.
it's in the gym,
Yeah.
it's up there, it's
If
across
you
the
Google
front, it's in the
Woodbridge
green.
Earth Day,
Yeah,
the
it's
last
across the
year's
street.
thing
Woodbridgeearthday.org.
is up
Okay.
still, and it's really impressive from last year's
Yeah, it was
event. It's
really
all
good.
still on the website, so you can look.
But yeah, it's woodbridgeearthday.org.
I think
is the
Bethany
website.
doesn't do anything, right?
No, not at the moment.
I think
No.
Bethany hates
We-
Earth Day. They do.
We had one, we had it for about 5 years.
Oh, no, it's close to hate. It is.
But
But Bethany can join us.
Yeah.
we will have a booth or two.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
We're gonna have you guys help us as much as we
We're gonna
can.
talk-
Don't worry. We
We'd
will
like to
adopt
have
it.
even more, we have even more.
Yeah.
Well, how about for orange?
We're not ready, I don't think, for orange.
I think,
yet.
yeah, orange is too big for us at the moment.
Yeah, well, they're,
And I think they do have some, they actually, last year, they did a big thing at, like the YMCA area too, where they had, because we, like, just the way that we had the big recycle trucks. So they had a thing like that with the haz waste and
Yeah.
the mattress recycling and the, so they did a whole thing like that. And they did, something else too. I can't remember what the other thing was. Theirs is not a full-fledged thing, but they do have their own event.
yeah.
So,
We don't have enough space and we don't have enough parking.
parking is our biggest
So
downfall.
we do have to keep it
We do not have the airport like you guys.
limited to what we can hold. But considering that, we tried to have everything you can think of. And we'd love to have anything we didn't think of, so
Yeah.
if you think of something.
Yeah, come with ideas,
Tell
come
us.
with, if you know people who wanna, I mean, like, if you're, any ideas for anything that you think have been helpful in Bethany for any event that, we can add a sustainability spin to it. You guys do great festivals, so if we can find a way to make it work.
Do you know Dylan Vitale, who's on the Musaro board? He is in charge of the Celebrate Spring event at Musaro.
Okay.
So he's the guy that gets all the vendors. So if you are looking for more vendors, there is no better source than
Okay.
Dylan
Okay.
for finding out
Excellent.
kind of the whole, it's mostly kind of the arts community.
Ours is
So much
local.
fun at that. I bought so much stuff.
Yeah, but so a lot of the same vendors I think would be interested in Earth
Okay.
Day.
So we
not
want to,
all
we
local
want to,
vendors,
we're
so-
trying to focus
Yeah.
on local
We're
ones
local.
right now.
They're
How did you get around the,
Local.
because,
local as in Woodbridge,
Yeah.
not New Haven? Because
Yeah.
he
Right.
has a
Well,
lot of New Haven.
I don't know, I
vendors.
mean, I guess we can look over the list and see what we think works. How did you guys get around the hawking
I
and
went
peddling?
and I
Around the what?
Hawking and peddling ordinance, do people have to pay?
No.
Mazzaro is town property, isn't it?
No, it's free. Celebrate Spring?
No, we're talking about there's the fee, hawkers and peddlers ordinance.
Oh boy. Maybe I should do this again.
Technically, none of
Why
these
don't we
people are
finish
hawkers
up,
or
hold on.
peddlers.
Anyway, why don't we finish up our lecture? You
Yeah.
can stop recording so we don't get